Gimli, Manitoba, 50 miles north of Winnipeg on the shores of Lake Winnipeg. And today, by an old airstrip at Gimli Motorsport Park, the Canadian Road Race of Champions. Hello, everybody. I'm Peter Young, and welcome to Gimli, Manitoba. Our analyst today is Tom Jones of Thunder Bay, Ontario, the reigning Canadian driving champion. And Tom, we have a whole bunch of drivers here today that have worked all year to get this far.
They're from all across the country, Peter. We have 5 regions in the country, starting with the Atlantic region on the East Coast, Quebec region, Ontario region, the Prairie region, and the BC region. What we do is we take the 3 top point setters in each of the regions and each of the classes, and they're here to race. They have to qualify to get here. A lot of them are here, and they're sure going at it right now.
All right, Tom, you have the advantage of having been around this racetrack a number of times. Perhaps you could take us on a little tour, as it were, of this course.
Yes, it's not that difficult a racetrack. It's a good little racetrack, though. We have a good long front straightaway, part of the old airport strip. You go into turn 1, which I would say is about an 80-mile-an-hour left-hander. It's a bit of an eye-popper. You get a little sideways in there. You come out of there into 2, which is a kink to the right, down into a real tight left-hander. That's turn 3. You get through 3 and immediately into a real tight turn to the right. That's turn 4. And then again, right after that, into turn 5, which is the sharpest turn on the racetrack. That's another left-hander. You come up on a little bit of an concrete cushion up there, and you get really hustling down the short back straightaway. You kinker to the right, and then immediately you're into a real eye-popper of a left-hander, and then it goes left again, back out onto the front straightaway, and then you get a bit of a breather and get at it all over again.
Well, Tom, you'd better get to your pit area, because I know you have to race in the GT1 and GT2 classes before you can rejoin us for the Formula Ford race. Before we get to today's major races, though, here are the winners of the other classes run here at Gimli. The champion in Formula V was Andy Chong. This man, James Cook of Lighthouse Cove, Ontario, was the champion in the C Sports race class. Stuart Pope of Scarborough, Ontario, former motorcycle racer, was the champion in the Honda class. And in GT3, very popular driver from Mississauga, Ontario, Lieutenant Colonel Lou McKenzie, the champion in good old number 68. Our first race this afternoon, the GT2 class, Canadian Championship race. Here's the starting grid. On the pole, car number 79, Ken Staples from Edmonton. That's an Alfa Romeo. Outside pole, car number 80, Chris Kratziglu of Agincourt, and a Datsun 510. Second row inside, Scotty Bell, number 22 from Thunder Bay, a Datsun 510, sponsored by Performance Unlimited in Winnipeg. And the outside second row, Jimmy King, number 49 of Volkswagen Rabbit. Jimmy's from Winnipeg. Third row inside, 62, Rob Vining of Halifax, a Datsun 710. Outside, number 98, Tom Jones, the defending champion from Thunder Bay. And there we have it, the start of the GT2 Championship. Jimmy King tries to cut inside, and Tom Jones now in front of him, and Jones inside. King goes to the outside, and then Jones cuts inside, and we have number 79, Ken Staples of Edmonton first. Tom Jones has already taken second. Jimmy King of Winnipeg right up behind him in third. It's Staples and Jones, 1-2 here in the first lap of the GT2 Championship. Smoke coming from the back of that Scirocco car as Jones has his brakes lock up a little bit. Staples tries the inside route. Jimmy King is up into third with Kratziglu in fourth. Then comes Vining and Scotty Bell, but Ken Staples, number 79 in that Alfa Romeo from Edmonton, is the leader. Jones now goes up beside him, and Tom Jones, the defending champion in this class, is into first place, all within 1 lap. Staples, however, trying to regain that lead. However, Jones, coming out of the end of lap number 1, is the leader. So Tom Jones from Thunder Bay, car number 98, Scirocco, goes from last place all the way up to first place here in the first lap. King was third, Kratziglu fourth, Vining fifth, Bell sixth after 1 lap. Tom Jones now about a 2-lap lead. The picture a little bit deceiving, as Staples is really only about 3 car lengths. There he is in the picture behind him. Staples a little shocked, I think, to find number 98 go by him so quickly, coming all the way from last. As you see Jones touch the brakes as he makes that sharp turn. And off a little bit goes Ken Staples, kicking up a little bit of dust as he cuts off. Kratziglu has now moved up into third place. Jim King is in fourth. Tom Jones from Thunder Bay, 24 years in auto racing. He, of course, back in 1968, won the very prestigious CRRC Jamaican Auto Rally. And Tommy's raced everything from the stock cars, the sprinters, Can-Am cars, and very active in ice racing right now. Let's visit the pit area as Tom Jones, before the race, had a chance to describe these GT2 race cars for us.
Well, the GT2 classification of automobiles is sort of the middle of the road small sedans that include the Alfa Romeos, the small Porsches, all of the Datsuns, the 510s, the 710s, and then of course the front wheel drive cars, the Rabbits and the Volkswagen Scirocco's. Should be very interesting here today to see the front wheel drive compared to the rear drive configuration on a racetrack, and the times so far are showing the front wheel drive cars have a slight edge. Should be very interesting.
All right, we will pick up action in the Canadian Road Race of Champions GT2 class with 2 laps left to go and a very big battle for second and third. That Staples nosing in a little bit. He seemed to touch Vining, and Rob Vining, number 62, really slowed down, and in fact he could be out of this race. There is Rob Vining from Halifax in number 62, and from that picture you'd have to think that he's certainly not in contention anymore in this race if he even gets back on the racetrack. But there's Tom Jones, and he is very comfortably in front of that man, number 79, Ken Staples, with only 1 lap left to go. Staples about 15 seconds or almost a quarter of the racetrack at least behind Tom Jones. Mentioned earlier that Jones still races the ice race cars. In fact, for the last 3 years, he's won the IIRA Ice Racing Championships. They take cars very similar to this one. In fact, he has raced this one, put huge studs on the wheels, and out they go on glare ice as if it was the middle of summer. Tommy also competed in the Motley Slip Enduro Series in a big Mustang, which we'll see on the track a little bit later in the GT1 class. And right now he is very comfortably in front of the second place car, driven by Ken Staples of Edmonton. And here we come, the checkered flag, Tom Jones, car number 98. He is the winner 2 years in a row now in the GT2 Class Canadian Championship. He pulls right into the pit to check on that Mustang we mentioned because he has to come right back out on the race course. And we'll await number 79, Ken Staples, just to see the time difference. There it is. Staples crosses 15.83 seconds behind Jones, who finished in 27 minutes, 46.48 seconds for 115.1 kilometers per hour. Jones is the winner. Staples second. King third. Scotty Bell was fourth. Welcome back to the Canadian Road Race of Champions at Gimli, Manitoba. Peter Young, and I'll be joined by Tom Jones as soon as this race is over. It's a GT1 Class Championship race, and here's the starting grid. The pole setter, Jerry Simmons of Stony Creek, Ontario, number 43 in that Corvette. Outside pole, Tom Jones of Thunder Bay, number 98 in the Belvedere Mustang. On the second row inside, Rod Harris of Fargo, North Dakota, in car number 88, a Camaro. On the outside, Pierre Guyon from Calgary, and here we go with the start of the GT1 Championship. And right off the bat, Rod Harris in that Camaro tucks to the inside. Jones goes behind, but the vet is still leading. Jerry Simmons going into the first turn. Tom Jones in third. The Camaro wobbles a little bit. That's Rod Harris. And Jones cuts back to the inside a little bit, now breaks him going to that turn. Jones takes over second place at least for this moment, but the leader is still Jerry Simmons. Car number 43, that Corvette. Jones in second, Harris in third from Fargo, North Dakota. Then we have Pierre Guyon, Mike Atkin, and Bernie Newman of Calgary following along. And then Doug LaBelle of Calgary. The leader, number 43, Jerry Simmons of Stony Creek, Ontario. coming up to the end of lap number 1. But the big Mustang on the inside now. Tom Jones on the inside. And Tom Jones takes the lead at the end of the straightaway. All the power of that Mustang just happened to beat that vet as Simmons hit the brakes a little early there, and Jones hung on and took over. He's already won, of course, the GT2 class here at the Canadian Championships. He is the defending champion, or was at least, in the GT2, has won that race now 2 consecutive years, something that's never been done, and has a chance here if he can hold on, although there's a long way to go yet to accomplish an unprecedented feat of winning 2 consecutive championships in one day. 2 classes. The number 98 Mustang in first place as we get near the end of lap number 2. See the Midwest Heli ambulance in the background, the helicopter that they use if by some chance there was a serious injury and they have to rush somebody to Winnipeg. It only takes about 16, 17 minutes to get them there via helicopter, and we've been very lucky and never had a serious accident, hoping that, of course, continues throughout this day of racing. We still have the big Formula Ford race to come with 30 cars, the little mini Indy type cars, and when you put 30 of them on this track, you can imagine what will happen. Tom Jones still in the lead in car number 98. Jerry Simmons in second. Rod Harris of North Dakota's in third. Tom Jones, the contractor from Thunder Bay, as we see car number 40 go off the track momentarily. He's back on, however. That's the Porsche driven by Bernie Newman. Tommy Jones driving car number 98, comfortably in the lead right now. Uh-oh, problems there. That's car number 80, Mike Atkins, and he's blown his engine, obviously. Let's get him out of that car. That's turn number 1. The safety crew there very quickly, as is the fire crew from the Gimli Fire Department. Here comes Tom Jones. He's going to lap Bernie Newman. At least he's right on his tail. Newman almost a lap behind him. And Newman, I think, saw him coming, and he's off the track. Tom Jones in the Mustang leading the race. Before the event, he took some time to describe that GT1 car for us.
The GT1 configuration of automobile consists of the big bore machines, the Corvettes, Camaros, the Trans Ams, the big bore Porsches, and of course this car here, the Mustang. These cars have ample power, are capable of 180 miles an hour on the straightaway, not quite as agile through the turns, but man, can they ever put on some speed down that straight. The big thumpers, the noisy ones, the cars to watch.
Welcome back to the GT1 Championship race at the National Finals in Gimli, Manitoba. Tom Jones well in front as we have just a couple of laps to go. And Jerry Simmons, car number 43, he was the fastest qualifier, and he is off the track, and it would look to me like he's going to park it there for the afternoon. So Tom Jones, although he wasn't pressed anyway by Simmons, now can really coast. 2 laps to go, a little less than that for Jones now, as he is well in control and could be headed to an unprecedented 2 championships in one afternoon. He goes by Newman again in number 40. And Goyen is just in front of him now, and believe it or not, Goyen in that open Corvette is the 3rd place car in this race. So Jones really in control of this one. Really has that number 98 Mustang working for him in this race. Just the sound coming from it. You can hear all the power, and he's really has it performing today. Mike Lindorfer of St. Paul is his crew chief. He built that car from scratch before this season. Jones in that car won regional races in Edmonton and Winnipeg this year. Won the Molly Slip at Saint Air, and just coasting if the car stays together to victory here. There he goes by Goyen, who is in 3rd place. So figure it out. He now has only one car on the same lap as him. And that is Rod Harris of Fargo in car number 88. Jones just taking it easy now. This would be a terrible time to make a mistake and have something go wrong with that car. He really doesn't have that much traffic ahead of him. As you can see, the traffic behind him is not going to pose any threat. Jones in his last lap now. Crowd cheering him on along the sidelines here, and here he comes up to the flag, and the checkered flag goes to Tom Jones, his 2nd consecutive championship race in this same day. Car number 98, the Big Mustang. 2nd place goes to the Camaro, car number 88, Rodney Harris. 26 seconds behind him. The average speed for Jones, 124. We look at the Formula 4 drivers preparing for their race. Tom Jones, the winner. Rod Harris, 2nd. Pierre Goyen, 3rd. Klaus Bell, 4th. Bernie Newman, 5th. Well, Tom Jones, this has never happened to us before. We invite you on as our analyst, and you go out and you win 2 championships for us. It's unbelievable racing. You win 2 classes in one day.
Well, the first one we almost didn't win. We got into the lead. The little car was going real good, and then it started to die real bad. And towards the end of the race, I thought it was all over. And for some reason, pennies from heaven, it caught fire, and it stayed together, and we won that race.
We thought maybe you were just waiting to see who that was beside you there, behind you.
No, I didn't want to see anybody behind me. They were getting awful close. In the second race, of course, the big Ford really performed well for us. The 2 slow pace laps hurt me a little bit. Those hot Fords don't like to go slow, and when they dropped the flag, she stumbled a little bit, and the Chevys got by me down the straightaway, but we soon got them back, and by the second lap, she'd cleared her throat, and we were gone. The big car works real good.
All right, now we get to the little cars with the big horsepower, the Formula Fords, and what an exciting field. 30 cars on this track at one time. Well, that's going to get crowded, and especially in that first corner.
It's definitely the feature race of the afternoon. There's all the cars are the same. A little difference in the drivers. John Powell's got a fleet of drivers here. Young Davy Jones, only 18 years old. You got to watch him. But I'm keeping my eye on last year's champion, young Scott Goodyear. He's a star of the future. You watch him. He really knows what he's doing. All right, Tom, we'll have to pay attention to those 2 drivers and the other 28 in this event. Let's get right to the action. And the starting grid, at least the first few drivers on the pole. Mike Clifford of Vancouver in car number 81. Outside, front row, number 27, Steve Kirtbridge of Sackville, Nova Scotia. Second row, last year's champion, Scott Goodyear, the STP car from Toronto. Outside, second row, Dave Whitting of Edmonton. Third row, Davy Jones, only 18 years old, from New York in 44. Then Gordy Cullen from Thornhill in car number 15. And Tom, right here, they're really warming those tires up.
That's right, Peter. There's a lot of little cars out there, and they are so light. It's critical to get those tires warmed up for that first lap. You see them weaving around a little bit. That's to help heat up the tires. You'll also note they've moved the starting flag considerably further down the straightaway. The reason being, of course, there's so many cars in the race, they want the tail enders to be on the same straightaway when they drop the flag. They look real good. It looks like they could be going.
There's the yellow flag, and they switch, and the race is on. Look at that scene as they bust down this first straightaway.
Man, look at that. 6-7 abreast, and young Goodyear's making a move on the outside. He did it. He did it again. He's showing why he's the champion.
Tom, we have a spin out there. There was some car right near the back of the pack. It's number 31, Rob Galbraith of Hamilton. He's okay. The car's back on the track. Goodyear's in the lead.
A real tough break for that chauffeur, as he had a fairly good starting position. There's young Davy Jones pressing at Scott Goodyear. Davy Jones from New York, an 18-year-old comer, and they have to be very careful when they run that close.
Talk about running close. It looks like a snake going through the corners. They're just...
Isn't that a fantastic shot? That shows just how close the cars are. They're all running right together. Scott Goodyear, our defending champ, the leader. Davy Jones is right after him.
Scott Goodyear, the defending champion, number 1, is in the lead in that STP car. And Davy Jones, car 44, from McGraw, New York, only 18 years of age, right behind him. Then comes Whitting, then comes
Michael Clifford. Michael Clifford, who is from North Vancouver, another good hot chauffeur, and he's pressing.
There's your leader, the defending champion, Scott Goodyear. I had a chance to talk with him about the pressures before this race. Scott, is there extra pressure on you this year, knowing that you're the #1 man out here?
Well, there certainly is a little bit. You come out here and everyone's looking at you and they're going to watch to make sure who's going fastest. You get on the track, they're behind you. They want to see just how fast you're going.
Does that put a little extra pressure on yourself?
Yeah, definitely. You try not to think about it, but there's a little bit there.
How about Gimli? It's totally different from the one in Motorsport.
Yeah, it's a little bit slower. It's a lot rougher. It takes a little bit of getting used to. We came here, not being here obviously before, setting up the car and the gear ratios and the suspension for it, and I think we're just getting down to some good times today.
Where does this type of a race, not just this particular race, but this type of racing lead for you?
Hopefully onto a Formula 19 for next year, and then spend about 3 to 4 years doing that, and some Formula 3, Formula 2, and then on to Formula 1.
Well, while we were talking to young Scott Goodyear, Peter, he lost the lead to Davy Jones. He just got it right back again. As he went into turn 3, they're through the W's right together. Goodyear got it back again. We noticed that Davy Jones was able to draft Goodyear down the straightaway, had a little bit more, was able to get by him. Goodyear got back by him down into turn 3. This could happen all over again. In fact, it could happen all race long. And we got to watch these guys behind. We've got Gordy Cullen, who's starting to make his presence felt back there.
Gordy's in number 15 from Thornhill. Tom, I would say right now there's still 6, 7, maybe 8, 10 cars could still win this race.
Oh, there certainly could. They're all very equal. We see that the top 5 or 6 cars are starting to break away, though.
Scott Goodyear is the leader at this point. Before the race, Tom Jones went to the pits, and he'll give us a close-up view of one of these very fast little race cars.
It's a little Formula Ford car. It's a 1600cc rear-engine, rear-drive car. It's a sort of a baby Indianapolis car. It only weighs 970 pounds, but the little cars are capable of up to 140 miles an hour. And there's a lot of cars here this weekend. This car, driven by last year's champion Scott Goodyear, he's got a lot of competition here today. And these are the kinds of cars, when the boys handle these ones, they move upstairs, move to Formula Atlantic, and probably all the way to Formula 1 if they can handle it.
Well, thank you, Tom. Just 4 laps to go here at the Canadian Championships in the Formula Ford division. Look at that, Scott Goodyear.
Goodyear fighting his way back into the lead. Everybody's having a run out of out here.
Was in the lead, Tom. Earlier, Davy Jones was in it. Like you say, it's like musical leaders here.
And don't count out Gordy Cullen. He's sitting back there in 4th, and he's looking stronger every lap around. And Goodyear is in the lead. Clifford's right after him. We've got Davy Jones still pressing in there. And watch out for Cullen. He's right with him. You got a 4-car parade out there, and look up ahead.
Some traffic, though, Tom. That could be some problem.
You've got some traffic ahead. They won't catch them that quickly, as these cars are quite equal, but that could be a major factor as we wind down near the end of the race here.
That's Scott Goodyear in first place. In second place from North Vancouver, British Columbia, is car number 81, Mike Clifford. Then you see Davy Jones right behind him, then Cullen right behind him. 4 cars,
and here
just tucked in. Here comes on the inside Mike Clifford, and Clifford has now, as they go into that end of the straightaway, has got the lead. Mike Clifford is now taking over the lead. Before the race, oddly enough, I asked Mike Clifford if he'd rather be in first or second or third at this time of the race.
Well, clearly, in any type of race, the lead driver has to absorb a tremendous amount of pressure. So therefore, it's probably better to be in second position over the last 2 or 3 laps. But in this track, the leader is likely to be able to block the rest of the field, and consequently, today would be important to be out front and lead from start to finish.
Now, the track is a bit bumpy, but other than that, is it the type of track you enjoy racing on?
I prefer the straight to be a little longer, but it's not that bad, really. Apart from one big bump in turn 1, the surface is pretty good.
Well, some nice driving by Mike Clifford, Tom. He said he'd rather be in second or third, but I think he'd rather be first right now.
Well, he's in first right now, but he's going to get the draft pressure from Goodyear and Cullen, who's up to third now. As they go down that straightaway, Goodyear takes a shot at him, and sure enough, he's underneath them. It looks like, yeah, Goodyear's back in the lead. Clifford drops to second, but keep your eye on Cullen. He keeps pressing, and there's still Davy Jones. Davy Jones is not out of it yet, and he's really pushing in there. We're getting close to the end, and here comes that traffic we were worried about. The leader is closing in on slower cars in front of him, as you can now see. All 4 of them are right together. Any one of them could win this race.
We're in the final 2 laps, lap and a half,
There
actually.
goes Davy.
Whoa, almost a bump there. Whoa, a little Wild was
And Davy's off the racetrack and back on it again. I hope he didn't damage anything. He seems to be still healthy.
He's been up there a couple of times, Tom.
Yeah, he's dropped off just a little bit. But Goodyear, I was going to say the old master. How can you call anybody 21 years old?
You got an 18-year-old chasing you. You're an old man at 41. There we go. 1 lap to go, they signify. And now he's passing some traffic. We'll see if the other guys get by him as easy. Oh, Tom, now we had one of the slower cars cut right in front of the field.
Well, that is a bit of a shame. Goodyear got by that slower car, and both Clifford and Cullen got blocked, as did Jones. And it looks like Goodyear has sort of broke away from the field just a little bit.
At this speed, though, breaking away from the field is only a second or two, Tom. They can close it up in a hurry.
Well, that's the biggest lead he's had all day, and we're in that last lap. I don't know if they can make it. They're making a charge now. If he catches up to the slower car in front, he could be in trouble. There goes Davy Jones off again. Davy trying very, very hard. 18-year-old, that's a lot of pressure, running in fourth. But last year's champion, Scott Goodyear, seemingly prevailing here. Yes, he looks like he's got a good clear lead now as he comes off.
He's coasting, and there's the flag.
There it is.
And there it is. Scott Goodyear is the champion 2 years running, having won it at Motorsport a year ago here in the first event at Gimli. He is the champion once again, and boy, I don't know how tight you're strapped in those little cars, but he sure is jumping around in there now.
I think it's safe to say, Peter, that young fella is well on his way to being a star in the auto racing world. But let's not count out those 3 guys that ran with him all day. Young Davy Jones, only 18 years old, a little over anxious a couple of times to get off the racetrack, but he was right there all day. Gordy Cullen, who come from a little ways back to get into the middle of the fray, almost had second or first place at one point. And of course, Michael Clifford, he's always a charger. 4 super drivers, but we got to give the nod to the champion, Scott Goodyear. Super Scott.
Computed it for us, Tom, and there was something like 12 or 13 lead changes throughout this race. Although a couple of times it was the same guy who regained the lead, so it's not 12 or 13 different cars, but that many lead changes, which tells you it was a heck of a dicing out there. Those guys were really going at it, and as you said, Scott Goodyear, great race for the youngster, 21 years of age, only 0.27 seconds between the first and second car, and they came around at an average speed of 126.6 kilometers per hour. Scott Goodyear of Toronto was the winner. Second place was Michael Clifford of North Vancouver in car number 81. Then number 15, Gordy Cullen of Thornhill, it was third. Davy Jones of New York was fourth in 44. Steve Gertridge of Sackville, number 27, was in fifth. Let's get a chance to chat with the champion. Well, Scott Goodyear, a fantastic race, just dicing back and forth. Had to be a great feeling knowing that when the checkered flag finally fell, you were the one that was in front.
Yeah, it sure was a tough race, and I think that's what it was all about, wasn't it?
It was a heck of a race, and you exchanged positions a number of times. Was there any time that you thought that maybe you weren't going to get it back?
Once they passed in front, I didn't have the steam down the straight to keep up with them. I just had to work a little harder in the infield. I was concerned that they might get through the infield just as fast as I and run away in the straight.
Anytime he got ahead of you, though, you seemed to you just tucked in behind him and stayed in the slipstream. Was that your strategy?
Yeah, I had to do it. We probably had a little bit different gearing in. We went through the infield a little bit faster, but not down the straight as fast. And you come out of the infield to the checkered flag, so I thought that might be the most place it would be important, so we went right to there.
Well, champion 2 years in a row is the next step up to the Formula Atlantic cars?
Yeah, definitely. I hope I get there next year.
Best of luck, and we hope we see you in the Atlantic Series next year. And, of course, from a guy that won it twice straight to a guy who won it twice straight but also won 2 this year, Tommy Jones, a great afternoon of racing.
Yeah, we sure had a good day, but standing beside a young Scott Goodyear, I feel like a real old man here. And I'm going to be around to watch his career because I think he's a young superstar and he's going all the way.
All right, we hope that you enjoyed our coverage today. Some fantastic races. Scott Goodyear wins the big one. The Formula Ford's Tommy Jones, our analyst here, of course, has a big day too, winning 2 Canadian championships. So from the Canadian Championships at Gimli, Peter Young saying good afternoon.